It is past 3:30, and so I am now calling to order the meeting of the Other Post-Employment Benefits Trustee Committee meeting of February 24th. Val, can you do the roll call?
Mary Lamont.
Here.
Fred River.
Here.
Jeff.
Here.
Mark Mather.
Here.
Also present, Robert Carson, Val Phillips, Recording Secretary.
Very good. I am going to call for any opening comment from the public before we commence with the agenda. Okay, seeing none, we will move to item 2.01, approval of the minutes of November 21st, 2021. Do I have a motion to make any changes or approve? It's pretty
Jeff Kirst.
light. Yep.
I just noted one thing which I thought the announcement of the next meeting and the closing items of the minutes, that date should be our date today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. We will make that change. So do I have a motion to approve the amended minutes then?
Fran McGregor, I move that we approve the minutes as amended.
I second it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passed unanimously. On to the next agenda item, item 2.02, which is our fiscal year 22 second quarter financials. Robbie?
Thank you. So Robert Carson for the record. So just like in the past, the first statement is a comparative statement of net position, and this is as of December 31st. So we're looking up to the end of the second quarter. As you can see, the total assets are just shy of $87 million. And if you remember back to the first quarter, we were at $82 million. So we had a pretty good uptick, and most of it's, or almost all of it's, in investment earnings. So we had over $4 million gain between October 1st and December 31st. And then year over year, we're up $13 million. So the investments are working well still. We're still living off that. We did do contributions earlier. And if we do contributions this year, we'll decide that at the end of the year. So this one's pretty simple and straightforward. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Okay. If we want to flip over to the next page, which is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and change in fiduciary net position. And this one goes over budget to actual, and this is showing revenues and expenditures. As you can see, total revenues as of December 31st were at over $5 million in earnings. The biggest change is the unrealized gain or loss. If you remember to last quarter, we had almost a $2 million loss in unrealized losses, and this time we're back up to positive to $2.5 million. So their investments have turned around and they're really starting to work for us. The only expenditures in there is other professional services. That's for that's for the audit that we're currently doing, and then the retiree life insurance is just over $400,000. If you look at that compared to December 30th, 2020, there's still nothing in there. In the next quarterly meeting, you'll see a comparative year over year, because that's for the life insurance implicit subsidy that the trust pays to the district. So all in all, there's a $4.689 million change in net position to the positive, and that gets us to the $86.9 million net position. And excuse me for those dates. The net position should be as of December 31st, not June 30th. I will make that correction. All in all, pretty straightforward. Again, it's the investments are working for us, and if we need to do anything at the end of the year, we'll decide that at the end of the year. So if there's any questions on that one, I'd be happy to answer them. Perfect.
I mean, this is a nice situation where earnings are outpacing certainly even with inflation, the cost of health insurance. So it's a really nice situation, one we don't always have.
All All right, so if we switch over to the next page, this is the summary of the changes to the Arbif account, which is the retiree benefits investment fund with the state of Nevada, which is where the majority of our assets are held. You can see the beginning of fiscal year 22, we started at $80 million, and then it breaks out investment gains and losses, realized gains and losses, which is just shy of $2 million, and then again, the change in unrealized appreciation is $2.5 million versus being negative last time. So hopefully they'll keep gaining, and we'll just keep growing this fund balance over and over. And then we had a $250,000 cash flow out for the entire school, or the entire year so far. So that gets us to the $84.8 and $9 million balance in just the Arbif fund. And I'd be happy to answer any questions on that one if they're there.
Jeff Kirst, one question. If the stock market continues to perform as it has, which has been good, we still are, with this fund, is underfunded. And what is the mechanism to put funds in there should it be necessary? Does the superintendent make that decision, or does the Board of Trustees, or is it just a general consensus of the school district?
The district management meets and discusses the position in the fund and the position of the other funds for contributions. So if it becomes necessary, we'll gather and we'll discuss what can be done in the future and get a plan in place to keep growing this fund.
It's, you know, we do budget contributions and the board approves that budget, and we can always modify the budget, or it is possible, you know, we could just decide at the end of the year if we needed to make a transfer. So, yeah, as Robbie said, we get together and kind of assess the situation year end. It's really the finance department that does that. And, you know, you're seeing the good returns. Don't look the last few days, you know, about what's happening in the stock market, you know, as you
I
know.
looked, and that's why I wanted to just
Yeah.
kind of ask, because the world is unsettled. We don't know what's going to happen, and, you know, we, fingers crossed. In addition, what you mentioned, the increase in health insurance costs. It's going to cost people more to go to the doctor. So I just was wondering what our, how that would work. Thank you.
Sorry. So we can move on then to agenda item 2.03, which is a review of the Rbif statements for the quarter ended December 31st.
All right, again, Robert Carson for the record, and we've seen this one before. It's just a summary of the Retirement Benefits Investment Fund. So this is a total that the state pool runs, and you can see their total Arbif fund market value is $823 million, and our piece of that is the $84 million. It's got their target allocations between U.S. stocks, international stocks, and the U.S. bond index market, and then it's got their actual allocations. So they're, you know, they're staying right at where they're targeted per their policy. And then it shows a fiscal year to date return, and the U.S. stocks, they're performing really well at 11.7% gain. The international stocks are 2.5%, and then just a slight loss on the U.S. bond market. And then it gives historical earnings. The 1 year earnings at 28.7% return on the U.S. stock market is what helped grow our balance over the last year. That's where we got the $17 million from last year, is just those earnings. So hopefully it keeps performing well, but as you mentioned, we'll just have to wait and see how it ends up. And if there's any questions on that one, I'd be happy to answer those.
Okay, our last agenda item is item 2.04. I won't read that. I'll just, Robbie, if you can go ahead and start that discussion.
Sure. So Robert Carson for the record. This is, so every year we're required to get a valuation of our OPEB trust. It gives us the total OPEB liability that we are, you know, on the hook for, that we report in the financial reports. We've done a 4-year contract with a firm called Gallagher for the actuarial services, and the 4-year contract is up. This year they'll do a rollover valuation for us, but after that, we'll have to have somebody contracted to do it going forward. The last 2 4-year periods, Gallagher has done it. Last time we did it, we didn't go out to proposal. We didn't ask for anybody. We just signed a contract with Gallagher. So it was our intention to ask you what you guys would like to do, if you would like us to go out and solicit services for it, or if you guys are comfortable re-signing with Gallagher, we will go from there. So,
Fran McGregor, are you comfortable with this firm?
we do have a good relationship with them. We know what to expect with them. The kind of the information that they're asking for, they're very responsive. I've had nothing but good interactions with them overall. But after 8 years, it may behoove us to go out and see what the market has to offer, if we can save some money, anything like that. So.
This is kind of a different one, and kind of a little awkward one, right? Where you got staff and they got the trust board. As a policy and a regulation, we don't like to go too many years without opening it up to firms to see what A, their costs are, and then B, kind of the scope and their services they can provide. So normally, internally, we would, go through some solicitation process after this long. I think so that would be kind of staff's recommendation, just in keeping with, the district's intent to always be an open shop and allow firms to compete and propose, and, it's a good, healthy kind of thing to do. Doesn't mean Gallagher is prohibited from getting a new 4-year contract, for sure. But since this is a contract that is paid by the trust, and we are in control of the trust, we do need, you to weigh in on this question, because it's a consultant for you. So if it's a little strange to be in this situation, but I think that would be staff's perspective, that we just think it's a healthy exercise to do, and it never hurts to do it. So,
Jeff Kirst, what other outfits does Gallagher's do this type of analysis for?
Off the top of my head, locally, I'm not sure if they do anybody's. Everybody, I think Gallagher's based out of Pennsylvania, if I remember right. So I'm not sure of anybody locally that uses them either.
Nationally, what other outfits do they do? A lot of school districts or trust funds, or?
They do a lot of OPEB trusts. I don't know any specifics off the top of my head. It's been a long time since I've looked at the other ones that they've done, and I apologize for that. So I can get back to you if we want to revisit this one, but yeah, I'm not sure off the top of my head.
If you wanted to examine other firms, you would do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then you would bring that to this committee, and you would say Gallagher's is the best fit for what they've got the historical knowledge.
Correct. So if we do go out and solicit proposals for these services, we would bring back to you guys, staff's recommendations, and let you guys go through what you can and go from there and make a decision.
In the past, has there been a big difference in fees? What is the fee, and does that vary widely in doing this type of analysis for outfits?
I don't believe so, but I wasn't in this position last time we went through an actual solicitation, so I'm not sure the comparison on the fees. I can't imagine it varies widely just given what we pay, but I don't know. I don't have that historical data because I wasn't around for that one.
Fran McGregor, what's the time frame on this? When do you have to have it done?
We actually have quite a bit of time to do this. Like I said, Gallagher is still contractually required to do the next valuation for fiscal year 2022. So we would need to have it in place probably by this time next year at the absolute latest, just to get the ball rolling on the valuations going for the next year. But we do have time to look at it and examine it, so we're not under the gun or anything.
Jeff Kirst, how many firms would you want to put this out to?
I think we just do an open proposal, if I remember right. I don't know if it'd be full RFP or not, but.
Yeah, it would, sorry. It wouldn't necessitate a full formal request for proposal, but we would want to go out to at least 3 firms,
Okay.
if not more, which, we can get those names from going back 8 years ago to who we sent it out to and the other local agencies. So 3, maybe 5.
So the way it would work is your staff would approach some of the people and say, the contract's up, we're looking for proposals. Would you please accommodate us and tell us if you would want to do this for the school district?
Yeah,
Or for
we
the
would.
trust?
Yeah, we would give them a scope of work, and ask for the terms of the contract, their compensation, other agencies they've done this for, and so forth. Yeah. Sorry, Robbie.
Fran McGregor, I guess that my feeling is, if you feel this is good to go out and approach other groups to do this, and like you said, you may very well come back to Gallagher, but since it is the trust money, it seems like it would be a good thing to maybe take a look at some other groups.
Sounds good to me.
I think just for open meeting law, it would be better to get a motion and then a second and take a vote on directing staff to go through a solicitation process for these services for the next year. Yep.
Is it better to have somebody local? I mean, does it matter? If they're in Pennsylvania, does it matter? I guess money's money, but.
Yeah, I don't think it matters much. They can get the information they need from Arbif in the state to get the estimates that they use for the discount rate and those types of things. So I don't think it matters if it's local. I'm not even sure if we have an actuary firm that would do it local.
Okay.
But it's all guided by GASB and their requirements for these valuations to be done. So it's pretty standard across America.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, sure, I'm not sure how to word this. Fran McGregor, I move that the district go ahead and conduct a search for actuarial services and bring that back to the board or to the trustees.
Mary Lamont, second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passed unanimously. All right, we're on to closing public comment. Any public comment? Nope. No public comment. All right. So our next meeting is May 26th. Hopefully you can all be here. And if we didn't say it before, I should have said that you can always call in or participate by teams. That's allowed. We have to be here in the room, and it has to be open to the public. But if it ever is more convenient for you to do it that way, that's perfectly okay. If you could just let Val know, and then we can get you set up. We can create the Teams link, and you can just pipe in that way if that works for you. So, but our next meeting is May 26th. Hopefully that works for your schedules. Okay. All right, we are adjourned.